Introduction to Inorganic Pharmaceutical Chemistry. Inorganic chemicals have been used in pharmacy for many reasons, ranging from therapeutic agents to nutritional supplements to pharmaceutical necessities. This is a discussion of the wide variety of useful inorganic chemicals, followed by a review of some chemical principles and properties of elements. Study of pharmaceutical applications of inorganic compounds led to the establishment of a new avenue called inorganic pharmaceutical chemistry, which deals with the study of both non-essential and essential elements, about their preparation, standards of purity, test for identification, limit tests to be performed for determining the quality and extent of purity, different formulations and their storage conditions, and therapeutic uses. Various uses of inorganic pharmaceuticals are anti-tumor agents. These are drugs which are used in the treatment of cancer. Cancers comprise a large family of diseases that involve abnormal cell growth with the potential to invade or spread to other parts of the body. They form a subset of neoplasms. A neoplasm or tumor is a group of cells that have undergone unregulated growth and will often form a mass or lump but may be distributed diffusely. Example of an anti-tumor agent is cisplatin. Acidifiers. These are substances which are used to induce acidic condition in the body or used in alkaline conditions of the body, such as metabolic alkalosis. Metabolic alkalosis is the result of decreased hydrogen ion concentration, or alternatively, a direct result of increased bicarbonate concentrations. Example of an acidifier is ammonium chloride. Alkalizers. These are substances which are used to induce alkaline condition in the body or used in acidic conditions of the body, such as metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis has three main root causes: increased acid production, loss of bicarbonate, and a reduced ability of the kidneys to excrete excess acids. Example of an alkalizer is sodium bicarbonate. Buffers. These are mixture of substances which prevents drastic pH change in pharmaceutical formulations. Example of a buffer is boric buffer, which is a mixture of boric acid and sodium borate. Antioxidants. These are substances that prevents or delays oxidation in pharmaceutical formulations. Example of an antioxidant is sodium metabisulfite. Electrolyte replenishers. These are compounds used to restore the volume and composition of body fluids to normal that is lost in conditions such as vomiting or diarrhea. Example of an electrolyte replenisher is sodium chloride. Anticoagulants. These are substances which are used to prevent blood clotting. Example of an anticoagulant used during blood collection to stabilize blood and blood products is sodium citrate. Antiurolytics. These are drugs which are used to decrease stone-forming constituents in the urine, such as calcium oxalate. Example of an antiurolytic is potassium citrate. Hematinics. These are drugs which are used in the treatment of anemia. Anemia is a condition that develops when your blood produces a lower than normal amount of healthy red blood cells. Example of a hematinic is ferrous sulfate. Anti-seizures. These are drugs which are used for the management of seizures. Seizure is a sudden, uncontrolled burst of electrical activity in the brain. Example of an anti-seizure is potassium bromide. Antidepressants. These are drugs which are used in the treatment of depression. Example of an antidepressant is lithium carbonate. Anti-rheumatics. These are drugs which are used in the management of rheumatism. Rheumatoid arthritis happens when the immune system attacks the lining of the joints, causing inflammation and pain. Example of an anti-rheumatic is auranofin. Antacids. These are drugs which are used for neutralizing excess acid in the stomach. Overeating or eating too quickly can cause the stomach to produce more acid than it needs. Example of an antacid is aluminum hydroxide. Protectives. These are substances which tend to form a coating and protect the skin from harmful stimuli. Example of a protective is zinc oxide. Adsorbents. These are substances which are used to absorb gases, toxins, and bacteria in the upper gastrointestinal tract, facilitating its excretion via the feces. Example of an adsorbent is activated charcoal. Laxatives. These are drugs which are used to enhance defecation, thus removing constipation. Constipation happens most often due to changes in diet or routine, or due to inadequate intake of fiber. Example of a laxative is a mixture of monobasic sodium phosphate and dibasic sodium phosphate. Antipruritics. These are substances which are used to produce a soothing effect on the skin. Pruritus is a medical term that means itching. Example of an antipruritic is calamine. Antiseptics. These are substances which are applied on living tissue to reduce the possibility of infection. Example of an antiseptic is hydrogen peroxide. Disinfectants. These are substances which are used to kill microbes on non-living things. Example of a disinfectant is sodium hypochlorite. Astringents. These are substances which bring about protein precipitation, evidenced by contraction and wrinkling of tissue, reducing the appearance of pores. Example of an astringent is potassium aluminum sulfate dodecahydrate. Scabicides. These are drugs which are used in the treatment of scabies. Scabies is a parasitic infestation caused by tiny mites that burrow into the skin and lay eggs, causing intense itching and a rash. Example of a scabicide is sulfur. Abrasives. These are substances which are used in cleaning the surface of the teeth. Example of an abrasive is calcium carbonate. Radiotherapeutic agents. These are radioisotopes used for the treatment of diseases. Radioisotopes are the unstable form of an element that emit radiation to transform into a more stable form. Example of a radiotherapeutic agent is chromic phosphate P32. Diagnostic agents. These are substances which are used to diagnose the diseased condition of the organs. Example of a diagnostic agent is barium sulfate. Anesthetics. These are drugs which are used to produce reversible loss of sensation. Example of an anesthetic is nitrous oxide. Antidotes. These are substances which are used in the treatment of poisoning. Example of an antidote is sodium nitrite. Antithyroids. These are drugs which are used in the treatment of thyrotoxicosis. Thyrotoxicosis is a clinical state of inappropriately high levels of circulating thyroid hormones in the body from any cause. Example of an antithyroid is potassium perchlorate. Any questions? If there is any, kindly post it on the comment section. I hope you have learned something today. Thank you for listening.